Alright, hello everyone. So this is going to be Bygone Days Ishmael and Devyat Rodion review. It's pretty much Bygone, they are all like what I expected. Bygone Days is going to be a generically good sinking ego, and Rodion is going to be a burst ID with great clashing at the start and becomes even better as we go on and really benefits from Rupture. So she is definitely an Earl King archetype where you gain a lot of coffins, right? This character is gaining a career bag, and then after that, she also can't really apply Rupture by herself like Earl King. Earl King can't apply Sinking by himself. Needs a whole team built around her in order to get some great benefits. Okay, so let's talk about Bygone Days Ishmael first, right? Bygone Days Ishmael first is very simple to understand. You get AoE with Gloom Resonance, and you get more healing with Gloom Resonance. You also inflict 3 sinking count, very nice, and also 2 uninvited. You can ignore all of this. These are just bonuses. If you get them, awesome. If you get benefits from them, awesome. If you don't, it doesn't matter. But the real shit is this one here. So what happens is that when you apply this uninvited, it is 2 stacks, which means you get this turn and next turn bonuses. You are able to have a 2-turn window to just hit enemies with uninvited and get some damage bonus. The damage bonus is take 0.5% more damage for every sinking on self. Maximum of 10%, meaning you need 20%. You need 20 sinking to get the 10% extra damage. This might not seem like a lot, but hey, you are spreading this. This is a spread status. What it means is that when you kill someone with uninvited, it will spread to a random enemy without this effect, and they will gain 2 stacks of this effect, so you will get to punch them really, really hard. So this ego is very, very solid already, right? It has sinking count, it has this uninvited effect, and it has a clashing power of 26. So yeah, that's pretty damn solid. And after that, the corrosion effect also has a very nice extra status, which is Echoes of the Manor. So if you are in Reflection Railway or Mirror Dungeon and you want to immediately do the Echoes of the Manor combo with your Bygone Days Isang, you can very, very easily do it. So if you go to Bygone Days Isang, if you don't know what it does, it is a Zane Ego, and it basically randomly inflicts Gloom Resonance sinking between targets. And this thing here, this randomly inflicts, will trigger Echoes of the Manor multiple times, allowing you to stack a lot of sinking status on the enemies. So this combo here actually gives you just permanent access to Echoes of the Manor in the form of an ego, and there's no competition for this slot for Ishmael pretty much. Yep. Alright, so this is how this ego works, and then after that the passive is straight up clash power if you fight anything with a panic type like Ruin, Echoes or Uninvited, and on hit against the set target you also heal allies with the least SP for 5 SP. So this is just generically very, very solid ego, can be used for any reason, either HP, sinking count, uninvited application, Echoes of the Manor application, just for activating the passive. All of the reasons are viable. Alright, the one weakness is that this costs lust. Yes, so in a sinking team comp, last generation is actually an issue because Linton and Otis are the only ones and they need a skill tree to give you lust. You can use Wuthering Heights Butler. In that case, you would have to drop someone like Dichi Honglu or whoever was your 6th slot for your sinking team. Like maybe if you're running Dichi with Rhyme Shank, for example, you will need to drop that instead of your Wuthering Heights Butler here, because you need the last generation for additional uses of the Bygone Days as well as the Linton Gregor. So this one is really up to you if you want to do that. Otherwise, what I still recommend is just use this, because these are some of the best clashes and damage dealers in the game, and they benefit greatly from sinking, and they're generally just neutral sinking. So you just need to be very stringent with your lust usage. The one other issue here is that your ego here also costs lust. Solemn Lament here costs 1 lust resource. So that means that these two will be competing for the same resource, and if you corrode the Ishmael ego, you will have to pay 4 lust, and that might be quite painful. So it really depends. If you're in Mirror Dungeon, this shit doesn't matter at all. If you're outside Mirror Dungeon, then this will actually matter. The lust resource is going to be very, very valuable, and you can only get it from 2 skill trees over here, which is a little bit too slow, and there's no guard skill in this entire team that will actually generate you some lust. So yeah. If you really, really need more lust generation, you probably need to swap in your Wuthering Heights Faust. But if you do swap in Wuthering Heights Faust, then you actually have 2 sources of the Echoes of the Manor, and you might not need to ever corrode this ego over here ever again. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of different variations here, but I think the best one is still going to be just take the best Bunga Bungas here, and then just be very careful when you use your Bygone Days Ishmael, because you are ultimately still saving up that lust for your Linton Gregor to pop his Solemn Lament. Yep. So just be very, very careful with the usage here, and I think that will be fine. Alright, now moving on to your Devyat Association Rodion. Let's talk about this character's career trunk first. You're going to gain 3 stacks every single turn. You're going to gain min-max speed at 10, clash power and slash damage at 20, very very solid, and at 30 plus you will start to take damage and then you will die. So that is the limit of this character. Every 10 you will hit a breakpoint, and the third breakpoint will kill you eventually. So how fast can you get to 10? Very very fast. Because of the passive here giving you 3 stacks every single turn, what happens is that when you use your skill 1 here, you are less than 15, so you get 1 additional. So what happens is you get 2 here, you get 3 from the passive, that gives you 5 next turn. And then your skill 2 will give you 6 next turn, because this is gain 2 additional. Your defense skill will also give you 3 here, and then your passive will also give you another 3, so you get 6 here. So you get 6 here, 6 here, and then you get 5 here. Yeah, right. So this means that in 2 turns you hit 10, so that's the first breakpoint. Then once you hit 15 with another use of your skill 1 or your skill 2, you start to slow down, but you still gain at a pretty reasonable rate. You gain 4 every single turn, or even 5 if you decide to use your guard skill. Do not use your guard skill when you are at 15, however, because at 15 plus you will activate retreat, so you will just leave. So at 15 plus, right, you can, like before 15 you can use defense if you want to build up some extra stacks, but once you hit 15, never use defense until it's time to leave. So defense, yeah, is a build up skill until later on. Skill 2 and skill 1 will always remain build up skills. And when you use these skills here, what happens is that you will gain 4 every single turn, because the bottom line here will never trigger again. So once you hit 15, it becomes a +4. So in maybe 2 turns or sometimes 1 turn, if you hit a 16, and then after that you will be able to get your skill tree very very active with the additional 20 career trunk, with the slash power up, with the coin power scaling, with the additional damage for every career trunk. This thing caps at 20 also, by the way. At 20 you get 4 times 20, 80% extra damage. And also if you hit 15, you get additional deal 25% more damage here. So this character is very simple to understand. All you need to do is build up. Skill 1, skill 2 or defense. Just build, build, build. Once you hit 15, never use defense again. At 15, you now use skill 2, skill 1. Try to build up to 20. Once you hit 20, use your skill tree to annihilate your enemy. Because when you have 20 on the skill tree, what happens is that you get a reuse coin. Sorry, wrong one. You get 2 coin power, you get damage boost here, and you get this thing over here. This part here is more related to the rupture count. But pretty much with all of this stuff here, you're getting an insane amount of damage on the skill tree. The downside being that you have a limited lifespan of 6 to 7 turns, and if you go any further than that, you will start to die. Alright, so let's talk about the rupture count part of this character. The rupture count part of this character is that she is like Earl King. Earl King cannot apply sinking very well. This character also can apply rupture very well. But this character really enjoys rupture, and Earl King also really enjoys sinking. So this shit here is all the same. So this character, you build up the coffin, which is career trunk, and then you attack an enemy with rupture potency of this and rupture count of this, and now you will not consume rupture count on hit, which is absolutely insane. Basically, you are now rupture neutral, and you do not have any ADD skills, so you don't have any gloom skills, and that means that you're not able to really get some crazy positive count, but that's fine. You are basically neutral already, and that's good enough. So you build a whole team of rupture characters around this character, and then she gets some big benefits. The biggest being, once you are at 20 career trunk, you use your skill tree when the enemy also has 15 rupture potency and 3 plus rupture count, because now you get a reuse last coin. Skill 2 and skill 1 do not have that line, so do take note that skill 3 is not a skill to activate this part here. This shit here doesn't exist from what I know. Like, just ignore this shit, because this skill is to use this reuse its last coin. It's like, this part here is bait. Never use it before you have 20 career trunk and are ready to activate this skill tree on someone with 15 plus rupture, because reusing the coin is insane. What happens is that you will activate one more coin here, and with the +2 coin power, it becomes a 6, 12, 18, 18, 24, 24, 25, 29, 29 coin, and then you get additional damage here, and then you also get the rupture benefits here, and then also you get a 15 plus career trunk, deal 25% more damage, and you are reusing this coin here for additional damage output. So you are getting huge amounts of value with the skill tree, and using it before for build up is actually insane, because you have a limited turn count of 7 before you start to die. So never ever use this until you are fully built up. So simple to understand, right? It's just skill 1, skill 2, defense. This character sucks at rupture, so don't bother with rupture. And then after that, you just hit the enemy with rupture on them and just nuke them to oblivion. The issue is that in the initial stages, where you're trying to build up the rupture, you cannot use skill 1 or skill 2 because you will be -2 and -3 on the rupture count here. In other words, you need to use your defense because this is a 1 coin skill and still builds up your career trunk. So in the early stages, this is your favorite skill because your rupture team is going to be focusing on getting the rupture up, and this only consumes -1. Even better is if you just straight up don't attack instead, because this is an on-use effect. It means that as long as you use this, you gain career trunk, and you will be able to build up the career trunk. Actually, wait, no. On use means that you need to clash, or is it on combat? I can't remember. But either way, this thing here should work if it is before the combat triggers anyway. So yeah, this thing here really powerful, and generally never ever give her more coins, because if you give her more coins, she will die twice as fast, and she already builds up so damn fast that you do not need her to be any faster. Just try to keep her on the field as long as possible when she is very strong, which is when she's at 15 plus career trunk. Alright, so this is pretty much the character. To understand, the passive is that when you retreat, you get to half your career trunk value, but it's only once per encounter, meaning that if you retreat and come back, that's it, you're done. You cannot ever retreat again, and in the end, we still don't have a character to retreat this character for us, so she is still quite sus, because she's only like usable for 7 turns, and then after that she dies. And if you're not in a chain battle, she straight up will just not come back to the encounter ever again, which honestly doesn't matter. As long as you retreat her, she will come back in the next node of the fight. Like if you go to Refraction Railway next stage, maybe you will be able to use her again. Same thing for the sorry, Refraction Railway is chain battle, so this doesn't matter. But for Mirror Dungeon and story that is not chain battles, well then yeah, this will be whatever, right? This thing here, you retreat, and the next node then you use her. But usually most fights will end in 7 turns anyway in Refraction Railway, sorry, in any story content or in any Mirror Dungeon runs. So yeah, this part here really only matters for the chain battle, and halving it is fine, I guess. Like at least it drops back to 15, it lets you keep your power spike, and then after that you get to build up to 20, and then you get to use your skill tree again. So yeah, the issue is that we just don't have a character to forcefully swap her out. We have to let someone die to swap her out. So that means that if you want to force her out, you need a 7 Cinder team, and one of them in your support slot, your backup slot, needs to be a really shitty level 1 unit with no HP, so that they just straight up die when they are spawned. Yeah, but that's really the only way you can actually make it come out for now. So hopefully we're getting some support for her in the future. Okay, and then other shit here to note is that when you have haste, or if you have 6 plus speed, your defense skill will also generate you a shield. So countering this character, no problem at all. And besides that, yeah, this character, skill 1, skill 2 defense, after 15, skill 1, skill 2 only, and then skill 3 only when the Rupture is met. That's pretty much this character. Let's talk about the team comps for this character, because Rupture really is a very flexible team comp just because of ADD Gregor. Sorry, this is the sinking one. Rupture is this one. ADD Gregor is going to be the core of the Rupture team comp. Spark Discharge gives you +1 Rupture count whenever you hit with a Gloom attack, so you need Gloom attacks to give a lot of positive Rupture count or neutral Rupture count. So that means that our team comp is going to be something like this. This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and then this guy, and then her. So that's it. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 team comp for a Rupture team comp. And you might be wondering, why am I not using W Corp Isang? The reason being, right, is that I don't really like having to pay a tax of Dimension Shredder every single time I want to use this character. And in fact, if I wanted to use a Gloom character for ADD Gregor, I would straight up just use Ring Sang instead. Because Ring Sang's skill 1 is actually just going to trigger ADD Gregor and has a chance of hitting the Rupture, which is like whatever, like if it hits, but doesn't really matter. And the skill 2 is also going to not trigger ADD Gregor, but it is still a very strong skill to be -3 to your Rupture count, but at the same time also just be able to do a crazy amount of damage and clashing. So yeah, this character is more funny in the Rupture team comp, but this character is supposed to be the one that belongs, right? But the fact that I have to pay a tax of Dimension Shredder every single time, and I'm also paying a tax of this ADD Gregor every single time, is a little bit annoying, and I don't like how expensive it is. Pretty much every single fight you go through, you have to pay the tax no matter what. Otherwise, this character will charge up very slow for just regular nodes. But if you're going for a long fight like chain battles, I think that this character is totally fine to use in a team comp. In that case, you might want to swap out maybe Lord Corp Sinclair, because then in in a chain battle fight or something like that, you will not be able to micromanage him, and this character needs to be micromanaged. So let me just give a quick rundown of every single character here so you can understand what's happening. ADD Gregor, the crux of the entire team. Rupture count positivity for anyone with Gloom. This character here, Rupture count positive on skill 2, negative on skill 1, and -1 on skill 3, but it's fine because the positive on skill 2 and the fact that this character applies a crap ton of potency most of the time is very, very solid here. Main potency applier. 7 Association Faust. This character has a Gloom skill 2, -2 count on skill 1, and -1 count on skill 3, but it's fine because the Gloom skill is neutral by default, as long as you win the clash, which means that if you do the Gloom skill attack, you will be able to trigger ADD Gregor. So it's just a solid DPS, and always use her. Always use her. She is a main Rupture DPS. LCCB Ishmael. Gloom skill 2, Rupture neutral skill 3. And then skill 1, never ever use it on any enemy Rupture, otherwise it's -1. So that's pretty much it. This character here, just a very solid character, but has the limit of being ammo. You need ammo to make this character work, so once she runs out, she's useless. Positive Rupture count skill 1, positive Rupture count skill 3 with ADD Gregor. Without, it's just neutral. Skill 2, never ever use it. That's it. Then for your for your Lobotomy Sinclair, this character here requires a skill 2 into a skill 3 combo on a boss. If you do not have a boss to fight, this character is worthless because he takes too long to get another skill 3. So you might as well use someone else like your W Corp Isang or your Ring Sang or literally anything with a Gloom skill that has some sort of count or something like that, and you'll be able to use them. 7 Association Director. So by right, she is a Rupture count character, but she also needs to pay a tax of Ebony Stem. And she only has one skill that has positive Rupture count, so she's not actually Rupture. So I don't really recommend her, but her passive is not bad because it gives you a damage bonus. So you can use her for that, or you can use Otis for another damage bonus, or literally anything else that you want. Doesn't really matter. We're not using her, even though she technically is a Rupture character. W Corp Assault gives you +1 potency on lower speed, so I just use him. And then for Ting Tang here, you can actually use K-Corp Honglu, because what K-Corp Honglu does, right, is that he gives the lowest HP ally 2 K-Corp Ampules, and that will usually be Devyat once she's fully formed, and this will actually give her some extra regen so she doesn't die that fast. But if you go to 4, she will die, so you can't do this more than once. So you have to be very, very careful if you want to use him, but it is very funny that you can extend her lifespan by giving her K-Corp Ampules. But if you don't want that, just use Ting Tang instead for extra damage. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire team comp here. You have many different variations here. You can swap between Lob Corp Sheet, LCCB Ishmael with W Corp, or you can use 7 Otis also if you don't have any of these other IDs here. If you really want to use this, also can, but she is not very, very good, and you need to pay a tax of an ego in order to make her very, very good. So that's pretty much it. This team is just get Rupture for Devyat to benefit. Devyat benefit means good times for everyone. She is one of the main big clashes of this team comp. The other two being this one and this one being decent clashers. Everyone else here is either average at clashing or subpar at clashing. So you do need to manage their clashing a little bit better, right? Especially like SSCB, I mean, look at the numbers, right? It's 10 here, 3, 6, 9, 9 plus 4 is 13. This one is 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 plus 4, 12. Even if you uptie, you're not really getting anything. Maybe getting coin power here, but only situational. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Basically, these characters, some of them are really bad at clashing. So if you want to swap him in no matter what for clashing purposes, also feel free to do so. Swap her in for clashing purposes, also feel free to do so. Just be careful to manage the Rupture count in these team comps. Alright, so that's pretty much it. These characters are quite powerful. I definitely pick Devyat first because I have great potential hope for her. She is a very strong character that reminds me of Earl King, and she has her own limitations of not being able to be on the field for so long, but the fact that is Rupture team comps, because you stack Rupture so well, the fight usually ends very fast. So I think it is fine if you go very fast with this character and speedrun kill the boss instead of swapping her in and out. So I think that that is something that's okay to use with this character. As long as you use a Rupture team on the correct enemy, you will be able to kill them very fast, and then the enemy is dead by the turn 7. And if you have to go a little bit more, make sure the enemy 100% dies in turn 8 or turn 9. Yep, okay. So that's pretty much this character. And then Bygone Days Ishmael, literally no explanation. Just use it because it is a good ego, and there is no competition for the TEF ego slot for Ishmael. There's only this one, and I think one other TEF ego that I cannot remember, but does not really matter. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. So that's pretty much it for this banner. For new players, please don't pull on this banner because these characters are in the dispensary and they are in the standard fare. The ID and ego can be obtained at any time in the entirety of Limbus company until the game end of life, pretty much. You can always get them from the ID section here and the ego section here, no matter what. So do not pull on this banner, save for Walpurgis, but use your shards to go and dispense these characters if you want them really, really much. Rodion is a very Unga Bunga character actually. Like, if you just use her without Rupture team comp, she is basically a charge character. Because all she needs to do is just swing. As long as she swings, even if the enemy does not have Rupture, she will just be able to have great clashing and great damage output. So as an Unga Bunga character, I consider her quite good, especially if the fight can end in 7 turns. And if you want to feed her more HP and healing with other options, like maybe your Lobotomy Ego Ryoshu or Chef Ryoshu passive or Gregor passive for healing, literally any healing sources will increase her longevity on the battlefield past the 30 career trunk mark, right? So that's an option for you. And generally for new players, most of your story content can be ended in 7 turns. So there really is no issue for using this character most of the time. Just speed run with this character. She's all about killing the enemies really fast so that, you know, they die. Yeah. Alright, so that's pretty much it for all of these characters. If I missed anything, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And yeah, that's it. Thanks guys for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.